Hey guys, Shane here. So welcome to this inbox review of Diopark's 135th World War II British Royal Marine Commando Soldier A. So normally I don't really do figure reviews, even though the channel is known for its figure painting. And the reason for that is quite simple. You can just do a Google image search and very quickly get some images of the built up models and see are they any good or not. So it kind of negates the need to do a review. But every now and then I'll get my hands on a figure that I think is kind of cool and I want to show you guys. And in this case, it's this trooper here, or this commando. The Royal Marines were also at this point known as Royal Marine Commandos, as they are now today. And the reason I went for him, as you can see, he's shouldering a bicycle, which I think is kind of cool. That's something we see every day, as well as carrying a brain gun. Also too, Diopark is a company I'm not too familiar with. As the name would suggest, I imagine they have more dioramas rather than figures, so it's kind of different than I thought we'd have a look. So we get a neat little box. We get just a single figure in this, and it's not resin, it is, as you can see, a plastic model, so it's injected styrene model. This kit was a bit pricey at €20 for a single figure, so we're going into premium figure price range now. So let's see, is it worth that type of money? On the back we get our colour call out, or a colour building guide, which also acts as a painting guide of our Royal Marine Commando, and the bicycle. We do get photo etch parts. So a simple box, quite an impressive box nonetheless. I quite like the art here, and with like the real landings in the background. So this would be perfect for a D-Day diorama with troops coming ashore. So let's see what we get in the box. So the kit will come with 4 sprues, like such. 2 for the infantrymen, or for the marine, and 2 for his bicycle. A small photo etch fret, and a colour instruction pamphlet. So let's go in and have a proper look at the details and see what we get. So starting with the instruction pamphlet, which really just covers the assembly of the bike, which is a British military bicycle. I believe Diopark sells these separately too. I think you can also get them from Bronco, but I think they have theirs with their paratrooper range with the paras. We get our legend, again colour. We have our simple sprue map, kind of not necessary for a kit with so many parts, but still it's always nice to have it should a part be missing or fallen off the sprue. The sprues did however come bagged. I've already done this review twice and forgot to film it the first time and wasn't happy the second time, so the third time is a charm. So we go through our 5-step building guide. So step 1 has us working on the spokes for the bike, and we get an option of either leaving the molded plastic spokes or replace them for photo etch. I'm going to leave the plastic ones. Me and photo etch spokes never get along, but however, for those of you who are braver than me, which is probably most of you, you do get a forming jig here for actually getting the correct shape to the photo etch spoke, should I say, and it's basically 2 spokes per side per wheel. Step 2, it is the bike frame, our drive chain. 3 is more work again on the drive chain, the pedals, the brakes, the mounting post for the saddle, and then the front spokes and our front crossbar. So these bikes can be collapsed or folded in half. So you have to kind of make your decision, do you want to fold it or not? If not, you have to glue the front parts or the back and front together. We have a very delicate front brake assembly here. And then on the back we have the crossbar, the little photo etch wing nuts for securing the 2 halves together. A little bell actually. It comes with a tiny little bell, which is kind of hilarious, because you know, if you run ammunition you can ring your bell at the Germans and I'm sure they'll run away. It tells us with some stretch sprue to do the wiring for the brake lines. And then a very simple colour painting guide here. So it's basically just an olive drab with kind of like a black like tires and what have you. So very simple. So that's our instruction manual. So here is our main sprue for our bike assemblies. So as you can see, let's take some of the point to it. The parts are very fragile, and we do get a lot of moulding tabs that will have to be cut off or removed. Very similar that we'd expect from a Dragon Models kit. So we have to be kind of careful when removing these because I can see these snapping very easily. So it's going to be interesting when I come around to building this. Again, we have our front bar, if you will, for the steering. We have our drive chain, which is very nicely done. Crossbar, pretty fragile again. Molding is pretty nice. It does look a bit kind of soft in places. We have our two wing nuts that aren't. I thought these were photo etched at first, but they're not. They're actually molded in teensy tiny plastic. Again, it's going to be very fragile stuff removing these. We have wherever the hell this piece is here. Okay. So this is not marked. That's right, so you guys can see. Where is it? Oh, yeah. So this is not marked in the instructions, and some of you might recognize it. It is a children's push scooter from the 1940s. So again, you could have, that could be pretty good for a diorama. You could have a column of troops or whatever walking down the road, and one of these abandoned on the side of the road. You could kind of do a lot with that, actually. After all, civilians live in these towns where we fight battles. We have our saddle, which is nicely done. It's a little bit kind of simple. There's no texture on the leather of the saddle. So that is our main sprue for the bicycle. The second sprue for the bicycle is our tires with molded on spokes. Now these spokes are a little bit overscaled, however I'm keeping them. I just don't trust myself with fiddly resin. At the end of the day, I prefer my models to be buildable as well as detailed, and I'm happy to make little compromises, and that is more than acceptable for me. For those of you who are brave enough to pit their luck against using the photo etched spokes, here are your formers. So you just basically place the spoke in here, and then there's a little locating tab and notch, push down, and you get the concave shape for your spokes. I believe these are the conduits for the brake lines, by the looks of things. So again, detail is pretty okay. Like, it's not super crisp, nor is it soft. It's kind of like pretty standard molding. However, I'm still kind of having a hard time seeing was it worth the price tag. There's great character in this model, but it's still kind of steep. And then we move on to our sprues for our marine. So we have our main sprue with these body parts. So we'll pull you in a proper look. So his torso is kind of unusual. So most of you will recognize that doesn't really look like a British Army tunic, and that's actually because he's wearing an assault vest. Now I knew the Americans had them, especially like the Rangers. Now you've ever seen Saving Private Ryan. Tom Hanks has an assault vest over his normal attack tunic or his combat tunic, with his various pockets and pouches. Basically a little bit like a modern day tactical vest. It's a pre-runner. I was unaware that the British had them too, but he's modelled with one, so I don't know how accurate that is. So maybe you guys who are more knowledgeable of British Army equipment can let me know. So he's got that moulded on with locator tabs for the pouches that are like integrally sewn into that. The hands seem very overscaled. That's what they do. They're quite overscaled in comparison to everything else. They are still nicely molded. I'm not seeing any flashing around the fingers. Just a little bit of a seam line that'll have to be carefully pared away. Actually, no, I'll take that back. There's a little bit of flashing on the hand that will be grasping the bike. Then we have our our integral pouches, if you will, for the assault vest. So these should conform to his body as already shaped, which is nice. And then we have these legs. The legs and the pants seem pretty nicely done. Some nice fold detail. Again, nice big pockets that don't look flat. So it looks like he has stuff stuffed into his pockets, which is always good to see. Yeah, so it's okay. Like it's not crazily good molding, if I'm honest. So I don't know how to feel about this model yet at the moment. I am going to be doing a painting video of this, of course, but I won't know until I paint her up, or paint him up, should I say. The face is actually not too bad. It's not too bad. Where are we in the camera? Nice facial detail. He looks kind of neutral expression. So I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, that should paint up pretty nice. So that is that sprue. And then the next sprue is his equipment sprue. So we start off with our, obviously the best machine gun ever made that could totally beat and win against MG42s in a firefight, and that is the legendary Bren gun. For some of you who are scratching your heads, I'm taking the piss out of Lindy Beige's video. I love Lindy Beige, but he tried to make an argument that this weapon was better than the Spandau or the MG42 and 34s, which is like trying to compare cheese and chalk. You can't do it. This is an automatic, light support machine gun or an automatic rifle, depending how you want to see it. So you have the Bren. I actually like this Bren gun. At least the front half of it looks very beefy, like the real weapon, because these guns are quite, these light machine guns are quite impressive. The stock looks a little bit underscale though. Like the stock looks like it's like like a scale too small almost. We have a semi-folded or deployed bipod, which is a bit basic. I do have a spare Dragon bipod or a spare Dragon Bren gun lying around, which is actually a little bit smaller than this but a bit sharper. Then we move on to some of the pouches and fighting equipment. So we have this large pouch here that sits on the back of his combat vest. Same with this. So he's meant to be a Royal Marine. He's missing a very important piece of equipment for the Royal Marines, for the commandos, and that is the Stiletto combat knife, which is like a needlepoint blade. It's actually a very nasty weapon, designed for basically like stabbing guys through rib cages and all that. It's a very vicious weapon for slitting throats. So he has his normal bayonet here, the spike bayonet, but I don't see the Stiletto, which is a little bit unusual that they mark him as a Royal Marine Commando, even though they don't say Commando, but in World War II the Royal Marines became the Commandos, or the Commandos became the Royal Marines, if you want to, however you want to put it. So it's very unusual that they wouldn't place that piece of iconic equipment with them. He's got a basic haversack or backpack with a bedroll. Not the big Bergen that you see a lot of the commandos landing on D-Day carrying. The Bergen basically looks like almost like a mountain climbing backpack. It's quite large and much bigger than the standard British infantry ones. However, this is not too bad. I think there is another set that goes with this, which is Trooper B. Again, he's carrying a bicycle as well, and he has like the big Bergen. So this guy's a little bit different. We have a small, I think this is like a medical pouch, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure. Again, if you guys could see, it would be lovely. Then we have, I thought this was actually a Kirkery at first when I saw this first. Almost like the Gurkha's weapon, but I don't think it's a Kirkery at all. It's far too big. It looks like maybe a combat saw or a machete or some description, perhaps for like cutting through barbed wire or other type of field fortifications, and that glues onto the side of his haversack. One thing that really bothers me with this kit is the helmet, the Brody helmet here. The shape of it is totally weird. It's almost like the mold slit. So these are meant to be kind of elliptical. They're not perfect circles, and they're not totally elliptical either. However, this is just like oblonged. Now it does have like the molded on like camo netting and scrim or Hessian stripes. You can make that very easily. If you have an old book that you want to get rid of, or nobody wants, or you don't care sacrificing, if you take the binding mesh that is like inside like a book, and you can use that really well for doing camo netting or Hessian on helmets, or you can just use like some very fine gauze. So I'm not using this helmet. I'm going to throw this out and replace it with one from my spares. This just doesn't really look right as far as I'm concerned, which is actually kind of unusual. Many companies seem to have a lot of hard time getting these helmets to look right, so that's a bit unusual. And with that, that's pretty much all the parts in this kit. So it is a very unusual subject, and I do like the fact that the Royal Marines are getting some love, as they did play a very important role in the war, especially as being commandos. They played a very important role in the war, especially early on. So it's nice to see them getting some attention in some subjects. For the price tag, I think this is overpriced. Honestly, I think it is. You're really paying for the bicycle. That's the expensive part, and a little bit of photo etch you get with it. But 20 quid for a single figure, with some of the detail being as soft or as spongy as it is, really is disappointing. However, I think with a good paint job and maybe just replacing the helmet or the brain gun, I think that the brain gun stock is underscaled. It just doesn't look right. The rest of the weapon looks impressive. But again, brain guns, if you have any type of British Army set, you'll have a few of those, and just a better helmet for them. The face, the head is fine. The head is actually quite characterful. I don't mind it at all. Even though the expression is a bit simple, but it's well detailed, if you will. That's a real big thing that lets me down, that figure's bloody helmet. As for his combat vest, I had to do a bit of research. I haven't a clue what to paint it. They have almost painted like a felt or a canvas color. So I'm going to have a look and see how that goes together. Anyway, I've been a bit rambly, as always. So in all, it's an interesting figure, and do keep an eye out. We will be building this up, or at least painting this kit up in the future, and we'll see what we can get out of it. I've been Shane. Thank you for watching. Happy modelling, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye bye.